Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hello, and welcome back to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we are now discussing Season 8 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, spoiler-free, as canonically written for Dark Horse Comics. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristin Russo. And this episode, we're talking about The Long Way Home, parts 1 through 4, and The Chain.
The Long Way Home was originally released from March 14th through June 6th, 2007, and The Chain was originally released July 25th, 2007.
And these are the comics where Dawn is a giant, Amy is dating a skinless Warren, there's a new symbol to decode, there's 3 Buffys, and Xander is being a bitch in a turtleneck. That's written by Kristin Russo.
Oh, that didn't come from IMDb?
That didn't come from IMDb or Dark Horse. That is an original summary written by Kristin Nolene Russo. Jenny, something that we don't say in our little intro, but that I would like to establish here in the first comic episode is that I have never read a damn issue of any of these comics. So everything is brand new to me, and I'm not reading ahead. So I only know what happens through the end of The Chain.
Have you read a single comic book in your whole life?
Only the ones that you have had me read. The Runaways I read, which I really liked. And then I've read like some graphic novels, Persepolis and Mouse and a couple others. But I am not a very big comic reader. And I want to say at the jump that like I enjoy reading comics, but also it was so fun for me to read at least the first 4 issues of The Long Way Home because I knew all of the people and I was like, oh my God, the whole time.
It's so nice to see old friends.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the next big arc that we're going to read, No Future for You, was written by Brian K. Vaughan, who created and wrote The Runaways, Why the Last Man, is still writing Saga, maybe the greatest comic series of the modern era.
Wow. How long has Saga been happening for? I mean, what a saga, am I right?
Time. They took a break. They took like a big break. They took a break for like a year or something. They're in the 60s now, I think.
Wow.
Issue-wise, is that right?
Is it like if we stacked Saga up against The Simpsons, who would win?
The Simpsons in terms of longevity, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Saga began in 2012, but they were on hiatus. Oh gosh, from July 2018 to January 2022.
Oh my gosh, so they just came back?
Yeah, they just came back.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I have never read Saga. I have really wanted to read Why the Last Man. It's been on my list for a long time. I also just want to say that I am a very, and I think you are too, Jenny, I'm a very like tactile person. Like the satisfaction that I had from holding this comic book in my hands. I shouldn't say that. It's I am reading from the omnibus. But like turning the pages was just such a wonderful new way to take in what's happening with Buffy and her pals. I recently, and I know we talked about it in the podcast at some point, maybe multiple times, but I recently saw the House of, what is it? What's the book that you have to flip upside down 50 times? The House of
Leaves?
Leaves. It's the House of Yes and the House of Leaves are forever intertwined in my brain, and I can never remember which one's called which. But it just reminded me of how satisfying that book was to read, because you have to have it in physical form. Like there is no other way that you can really experience the House of Leaves. Anyway, it was just very fun to sit on my couch and turn like glossy comic pages as I read this.
It's very satisfying indeed. For those of you whose keyboards I can hear click-clacking, I'm going to just let Kristin know right now that it's House of Leaves, no the, and the House of Yes. So that's one way to tell them apart.
Sure. It's just I don't remember any leaves in House of Leaves. So like I don't know how I'm supposed to keep them straight. And I don't really remember too much yesing in the House of Yes. But I'll try my best, everyone, okay?
That's all we can ask of you, Kristin.
So Jenny, we're going to try to keep to the original buffering format, which is basically like following scene by scene. And I feel like, you know how every episode of television has like sort of not every episode, but every episode of Buffy and every like hour-long episode of television generally has like 4 acts, right? There's like 3 breaks between things. I feel like the 4 parts of The Long Way Home are our 4 acts of a show. And so we're going to follow them like, you know, like we normally do, sort of chronologically, but dipping in and out of various bits as we please. And Jenny, with that in mind, I want to say that we really hit the ground running with some serious hellmath in issue 1.
Oh yeah, like 1800 minus 500 divided by 10.
I wrote down 1800 Slayers, 500 working with Buffy in 10 squads. Also, P.S. there are 3 of Buffy. Also, carry the 2 Buffys because there are now 3.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, and I also want to establish this, I think, Jenny, you're going to have a bit more reading comprehension than me, having A, read these before, and B, being a comics reader, because there are, like the chain, when we get there, this is going to be me. I don't know. I don't understand what's happening here. That's but what I gather from the jump at issue 1 is that there are 3 Buffys. One is the one that we start with, who's in Scotland. Then there's one in Rome who's not the real Buffy, but is like a Slayer, sort of like made to look like Buffy. And then there's one underground, also made to look like Buffy.
Okay. Part of Rome Buffy's cover is that she's supposedly dating some guy called the Immortal. I encourage you all to write this down in your Shanshu prophecies, unless you've already seen season 5 of Angel in its fullness, in which case you're already in on the joke.
Yeah, we just realized in taping this that we're in this weird middle space of like, we haven't finished Angel season 5 in our universe, but the comics were released after Angel season 5 was finished. So, you know, bear with us, okay? We're doing our best here.
Indeed.
Okay, my next note after learning about Rome and Underground and the Immortal from Andrew is that Xander is now saying 5x5, and also Xander is wearing a full turtleneck situation.
Yeah, he's got his little Nick Fury outfit on.
Yeah.
And I celebrate this look for Xander.
I am very upset with Xander in this 4-issue arc.
Why? Why ever 4?
He is a whiny baby for half of the time and a commanding officer for half of the time. I don't like this relationship between him and the girl who has a massive crush on him. I'm going to be very honest and say I can no longer separate Xander Harris in any way, shape, or form from Joss Whedon. And I don't think that it can be an experience that I have to intake Xander as just Xander. So I'll never know if I'll never know. But I was just really, really grossed out by a lot of the Xanderisms in this 4-issue arc. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way that this girl, I don't know, does she get a name in the comics yet? Because maybe it was said very briefly, but I didn't pick it up. But there's one of the Slayers. I assume that everyone who's working alongside the team here is a Slayer in some capacity. But I guess there's also
I assume
Mystics.
the same. Her name is Renee.
Renee. Okay, so I just found it very difficult to digest that Renee is falling over herself. It just absolutely we learn that she's learning how to drywall, and she's reading comics, and she's doing all the things you do when you have a crush on somebody for Xander. And then the one scene that we really get between the two of them, it's her being I fucked up so bad. I'm so bad at everything. I'm so horrible. And Xander just being it's so stupid that you would ever say that. It's the way that the dynamic was it just felt gross to me, Jenny. I did not like it. And then I also felt there were moments when Xander was back to being super baby Xander, and in contrast with how he was so commanding at the helm with his turtleneck and glasses. I just didn't like it, and I admittedly can't unbraid the creator from this character. So I don't know. I'm curious about your thoughts, and also if you're listening to this pod and reading or have read these comics, what your thoughts are on this in this first 4-issue arc.
Maybe it's just because there's a lot going on in these comics, but it did not hit me like that. But I'm interested to hear in greater detail as we move forward more about your feelings.
Can we talk about Dawn being a giant? Because that's my next note.
We can. And this is an old familiar Buffy trope. Women being punished for having sex.
Sex with a Thricewise. Are we supposed to know what a Thricewise is? Or is the joke that nobody knows, but they all reference it so casually?
I've done some Googling. Oh, Lord. And I'm going to encourage you not to do any Googling, Kristin.
In my mind, Thricewise is just 3 Pennywises. That's what a Thricewise is.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're just going to put a pin in that. I don't know if I'll be interested to hear when we get there what you think would be worse. The actual Thricewise or 3 Pennywises?
Okay, great. Listen, I'm obsessed with Dawn being a giant. I know it's super dramatic and super ridiculous, but I screamed when I got to this part and realized, because it took my brain a moment to just really, really understand that she was a giant. The way that the pictures are drawn and what have you, clearly she's a giant, but sometimes in comics they fuck around with perspective. So I sat and was wait, for real, she's a giant? Shut up.
Yeah, I love the choice to, welcome to podcasts, a visual medium. I'm going to describe an image to everyone listening. I love the choice to split this 2-page spread of Dawn's giant introduction into 4 vertical panels, and we get Buffy at the base of the stairs, then Buffy at the first stair landing, then Buffy laying at the top of the stairs, looking at Dawn upside down, and then Buffy, around the balcony, opening the door, looking out on the moors, and also talking to to Dawn. I like we get, obviously Dawn is huge, but we get this great scope by Buffy sort of like trotting all around her while they have their sister talk.
Yeah, it's really cute. There's a line at one point that Buffy has where she's like, why is it that like the minute I start talking to her, I'm immediately 12? Like we're both 12 again, which I feel like is so accurate for a lot of sibling relationships. Like no matter how grown you are, when you're like in a space with a sibling, you just revert back to like the root of your relationship when you were children.
Yeah.
And we learn that like since we last saw them, Dawn and Buffy have been on the outs, which I think is really important. And I think like it makes a lot of sense to me that it's sort of painted as like, well, she was her one sister and now Buffy has like, 1,799 sisters, we are to believe. And Dawn is having a lot of feelings about that, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, Dawn is not in an easy position here. This is like very difficult. This is like the episode where Amanda became a potential times a million.
Yeah. Times a million. And for every multiplication, she got 1 inch bigger. She's drinking
out of barrels. I don't even want to think about some of the practical aspects.
Yeah.
Good luck, Dawn.
What do you think she brushes her teeth with?
A tree branch, maybe? Oh, or a what are those, like a push broom?
A push broom. That's what I was thinking. A giant push broom. But she can't even use toothpaste because how could you ever buy that much toothpaste for a girl? Also, Who made her clothes? Also, how does she wash her clothes?
Okay, so I think that her clothes got giant with her when she gianted. And I think she washes her clothes in the same pond that she's going to take a bath in later.
I wish that Miss Kitty Fantastico was here simply so that giant Dawn could hold tiny Kitty Fantastico.
That sounds actually dangerous, Kristin.
No, she would be so gentle.
I know that we learned she's not proportionately strong, but I also feel confident that she doesn't understand her own strength.
Fair. She's probably so mad that all of her shoplifted jewelry doesn't fit anymore,
She returned all of that, Kristin.
So my last notes on the first issue are so they're in Scotland because I didn't yet figure out where the like main action was taking place. And then, oh my fucking God, Amy. That's my last note.
Oh yeah, before we get to Amy, actually, there are a few things we should touch on that we have not, just for larger plot reasons. The very beginning of the issue, we see Buffy and her squad of Slayers busting into a church to kill some big green demon-y guys. They find a human victim, or a couple human victims, and at least one of them has a scar on his chest. And then way up in the sky, someone in black boots and a black duster or cape is hovering, looking down. Meanwhile, the government, up to no good if you can believe it, they're heading into Sunnydale, talking a lot of smack about Buffy, saying, look what she did to her hometown, as they helicopter over a gigantic hellmouth hole. They send a guy down, deep down into the hellmouth to do a little searching, and something down there spooks him. Uh-oh. We later find out, yes, that it apparently was Amy and her boyfriend, ?
Yeah.
She wants to, she's willing to help this government operation take down Buffy Summers. Also, she wants cheese.
Yeah. And the way that it's revealed is great because, at least for me, first-time reader, you get to the cheese part first before you turn the page to get the reveal that it's Amy. And so it's like, and she, like, it's like they're calling them like something 1 and something 2, subject 1 and subject 2 or whatever in this like army situation. And it's like they're so grossed out by the coupling, and they don't say why. And then you get and she just keeps asking for cheese. And in my issue, it's a full page turn to get to the next page. So I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There can only be one person, and it must be my Amy. And there she was, all glowy. She's like souped up on power.
Yeah, she's well, she's looking like she's been underground for a while, but she's not going to let that stop her from having a good time.
Finally, I don't know if there's more to say about issue 1, but I saw my first note for issue 2 and I got excited.
Oh, one other thing that I wanted to say about issue 1 is that while Xander and Buffy are studying the scar that they find on one of the Green Demon's victims, Xander says he thinks it looks like a guy with a monocle frowning. And Buffy says she thinks it's a beautiful sunset, which is hilarious.
Also, I can really see the sunset. I looked really closely and tried to like magic eye the thing that Xander saw, but I couldn't get it. I couldn't grab the monocle. It's a nice symbol, I have to say. A lot of the symbols that we see carved into people's bodies are just not great to look at, but this one's very beautiful.
Oh my God, what?
What?
Tell me more about all of these symbols you've been observing carved into people's bodies lately.
I don't know. I was thinking about like the bringer's eyes and like, you know what I mean? Just like usually when you see a thing that's like the mark of someone, this is very lyrical. The lines are smooth and nice. It's just it's a nice symbol. Okay, so Giles is my first note of issue 2 because I was deeply let down when in issue 1 it was like my watcher, and then it was Xander with a fucking eye patch and his turtleneck.
This might be contributing to your anti-Xander feelings.
Yeah. But Giles and Andrew enter in the beginning of issue 2. Giles being a standard Giles and Andrew being as big of an Andrew as he's ever been. We see him with a gaggle of slayers surrounding him, and he's discussing, I think, the least believable thing about Star Wars. Which Star Wars is the one with Lando and the Ewoks?
Okay, yeah, I think it's Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. Well, I have to say, Jenny, that Andrew it seems like he's talking a lot of shit about Lando's outfit, and I, for one, fucking love Lando's outfit, and I love his cape, and I love him. So I disagree with Andrew's take. I would let every Ewok go if it meant I got to keep Lando.
I think that the root of Andrew's issue is all the way at the end of his monologue, in which he says that outfit gets you beat up is what, especially at a pep rally in junior high where you're supposed to be dressed like a cougar from a friend. I heard that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. One of my favorite parts about this arc is this Slayer who repeatedly is just like, but can't we just have guns? Guys, can we get guns? I just really want guns. And everyone is like,
Boo.
Absolutely not. Sit down. There are no guns here. Sit down.
So, and just to zoom out for a second, because I don't think we've explicitly stated, especially because we don't know, if you're listening and you're not reading the comics, we want to make sure you understand what we're talking about as best we can ensure. We're seeing Giles doing some training with a squad of Slayers that he's in charge of. We're seeing Buffy doing some training with a squad of Slayers that she's in charge of, including a Slayer named Setsu who's having her best hair ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Andrew allegedly training with these girls, but really just talking about Lando Calrissian's outfit. Now, who's in charge of the other 7 squadrons of Slayers?
I mean, it's incredible that you even knew that was what was happening, Jenny. I didn't even know that was happening. So that's great. Are they all in different places, or are they all in Scotland? Can you tell me that too?
Andrew is in or near Rome. I think they say where Andrew is at some point.
Okay.
But he's when Rome needs reinforcements, Andrew is closest. Buffy's in Scotland, and then where is Giles?
Where in the world is Rupert Giles?
I feel like there's very distinct architecture in his panels, but I don't know where it is.
I am all for, I think that you should just begin each issue with orienting all of us into space, because even though I'm reading, I'm like, what? And then by the end of the issue, I'm like, oh. So when you hear me talking linearly, that is how my mind experienced the comic. And I think probably your knowledge of what's happening will help.
Yeah, maybe maybe for our next episode, I'll prep in that way, and I can give issue overviews just for like the big plot points.
Great.
And then we can get into Kristin's nitty gritty.
Great.
Speaking of nitty and gritty, Dawn is bathing in a pond that is somehow, it's just surprisingly deep is what it is for how small it is.
Maybe the first thing that this squad of Slayers did was dig a very deep hole for Dawn and fill it with water.
Yeah, that's possible.
A note that I have here about this mark is that we're also going to this like army situation where Amy is, which is right near Sunnydale, right? Like their headquarters is right outside of the Hellmouth.
Yes.
And the guy who's like he's like arguing with the main army guy. He's I call the magic guy an army guy. And the magic guy is like, yo, you can't just use your army stuff. Sometimes magic is magic and you need to like, you know, follow those rules. And like the things that I'm doing are also important. And magic guy has the same mark on his chest as the dead guys.
Oh my God.
That's what I said. Then I guess, so I was so confused because I didn't understand we were in a dream for the next section of this issue, which is that Buffy and Xander are talking and he's like, listen, maybe Dawn did this to herself subconsciously. Like we've seen spells like this before where you like manifest this thing. And maybe that's like why she slept with this Thricewise guy, or like she slept with this Thricewise guy and the like whammy on her was that her insecurities would manifest. And then Buffy's like, but are you coming to bed? And then she takes Xander into the room, and I'm like, no, what? No. And then Xander's like, but you have to be careful with me. And then she kisses him, and then his head pops off, and then she falls through the dark, and Amy is standing above her with a weird dagger, and then we learn that she's trapped in a...
Wait, when Kristin says Buffy falls through the dark, what she means is Buffy flies out of the castle window into the waiting claws of a gigantic, like, dragon gargoyle demon thing that then incinerates her.
And all of that was like the reason that I was like, what is happening, is because I could not find the line between what was really happening and what was her dream. Like, did Buffy and Xander really have the conversation about Dawn, or was that her dream too? I'm just learning to read comics, you guys, okay?
Well, this is a confusing one, and I'm sure...
But regardless, she's not smooching Xander, and Xander's head is attached to his body, so that's good. And this bit that we learn next is true, which is the only thing that can wake her up from this sleep she's trapped in is a kiss of true love.
He has a kiss from someone who is in love with Buffy and devoted to her.
Oh my God, and we don't even know who it is still, Jenny. I read all 5 issues and I still don't know who the fuck is in love with her.
Yeah, well,
I hope it's Satsu. I don't even think, is Satsu there? I don't understand. There's 3 Buffys. It's too much for Kristin to hang on to. I don't understand which Buffy is telling Satsu to, you know what I mean? I need a minute, you guys. Anyway, I hope it's Satsu. Because then 2 girls with beautiful hair smooching. Love it. Yeah.
Well, outside on the ramparts. Are those ramparts?
What is that word? I don't even know what that word is.
You know, or the ramparts we watched.
I do know, but I have known that forever and never wondered what it was. So.
A defensive wall of a castle or walled city. Nice. I nailed it. These are ramparts. Okay, so Renee and another Slayer are out on the ramparts talking about Renee's crush on Xander, and then all of a sudden what to their wondering eyes should appear, but a whole fuckload of zombies just climbing up the wall, just straight up.
Just some fucking White Walkers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's Jon Snow? Is he at the wall? Is this the same wall?
This is not the same wall, Kristin.
Okay, so... Oh, God. So we ended issue 1 with this big reveal of Amy, and we end issue 2 with this fucking beautiful reveal of Willow, who no one has known where Willow has been for, like, we're to believe what, like a year has passed since Sunnydale imploded into itself?
Do we know?
I think that's like the conversation around Willow being gone is like, where have you been for the last year? Like in my brain, it was like about a year. But Amy says, like, all of this power I have, look at all of these slayers. There's so many of them, and not one of them can take me. And the last page of this issue is Willow being like, I'd like to test that theory. She specifically is quoting Giles. Hot. Good. Great.
We also get in Buffy's dream space perhaps the same body in the duster.
Right.
A red t-shirt reaching out to her saying, I have so much I need to show you, my love. And it can be a surprise and a secret in the comic book because we can't hear his voice. We can only read his words.
Oh, that's a good point. And I just, like, I assume, like, I knew it wasn't Spike, but also it's drawn very much in the colorings of Spike, I think. Don't you think? The reds and the blacks?
But also Angel.
That's true. I'm going to suggest that if anyone is like me, Kristin Russo, that has never read these and read them one time, that you all come on a journey with me of reading them again. Because I think that, like, knowing what I know by the end of issue 4 would really help me going back to the beginning again to, like, contextualize some stuff that I was confused about. And like see things that I didn't see before. So I'm going to try to reread these 4 before we go to the next set.
Oh, I think that's such a good idea.
Thank you. Well, we find out in issue 3 who the fuck this guy is, and I screamed again. I screamed for Amy, I screamed for Willow, and I screamed for Ethan Rayne.
It's so nice to see old friends.
The only downside of Ethan Rayne being here is that he doesn't interact with Giles even one single time.
Well, anything could happen.
That's true. No, but he's dead, I thought. He's
I
dead.
don't know.
Oh, okay. Well... something that I would love to talk about in issue. Okay, so wait, Jenny, do your overview of issue 3 so that we're all oriented.
Okay. So what do we have going on in issue 3? We've got Ethan taking Buffy on a little tour of her dream space. We've got Willow and Amy clashing. Willow absorbing Amy's mojo so she can decode it. Ethan and Buffy coming upon a very horny dream image, which we can talk about in a second. Willow and it's not looking great for Willow. Amy does a little pixely blast on her, but then Dawn shows up and stomps Amy. Ethan gets Buffy all the way to a rat cage in her dream space, and things start to and then Willow instructs everyone to close their eyes because somebody in this room is in love with Buffy Summers, and the person who is gonna give Buffy a smooch while everyone else has their eyes closed. And that they do, and Buffy shoots up and yells, "Cinnamon buns!" What else happens? Couple things. Giles talks to a green demon, much like the ones that Buffy killed in the first issue. And they come to the conclusion together that someone's engineering this conflict. And Giles shows the green demon a little drawing of the monocle frown. And the guy's like, doesn't look like anything to me. Andrew's playing strip poker with Slayers. Xander visits Renee in the recovery room. Willow is trying to do a little trace on Amy, but it's a trap. It's a portal. Willow gets sucked through it, tied down to a table, and who's gonna do whatever they're gonna do to her? It's Warren with no skin.
This is rude. Take it back, Jenny. Please take it back. I don't want it. Nobody wants it.
Okay. Focus on the positive, Kristin. Let's begin. Let's go back to the beginning of part 3 and let's focus on the fact that in one of her dream spaces, Buffy is wearing a little nurse's uniform and she is chained in between a naked Spike and a naked Angel, just like the good Lord intended.
So, okay, before we get, just one page before we get there, though I know it's hard to look at this 2-page spread and see anything except for the image that Jenny just described. I do want to say that the way that Ethan Rain describes a dreamscape is very cool, and I would love to read it if that's cool.
Yes.
He says, we're not in your dream, we're in your dream space. In brief, you are always dreaming every dream you could dream all the time. Even when you're awake, a part of your brain is stirring that brew. Which one you choose to remember in the morning is based on wishes, anxieties. In your case, to Buffy, your collective Slayer memory and prophecies are mixed in as well. It's a vast and fascinating place. Everywhere you turn, a part of you. I think this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read in my life. I was obsessed.
So beautiful.
It's so fucking beautiful. It's just like a very cool conceptualization of dreaming.
Yeah, it feels like it came right out of Sandman.
Right, which I actually know about now because I watched the TV show.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, it's better than
no,
nothing.
that's good. That's really good.
That's all. I just think it's so fucking cool, and I love the way it's written, and that's all. And my next question. So let's talk about this drawing of it's Angel and Spike looking good, and this is Buffy's dream space.
That's right.
There's some cherubs. I think these are cherubs, sort of like to the right and the left, just like looking at their love. There's a bunch of like stakes just sort of like floating in the air. And my big question really though is Buffy is in a nurse's outfit, and like I'm down if this is Buffy's fantasy of herself, but it seems like a little bit of a stretch. But also, I don't know. I've never fantasized about myself in a nurse's uniform. But please write in.
Well, think about it this way.
Yeah.
Buffy is... Her whole existence is about dealing death. So there could be something very appealing to her about the idea of being a healer.
Okay.
What?
Yes, no, that's good. I just did not see you taking that angle, but I love it. Also, Spike and Angel are so close to each other. Like they're not even properly on either side of Buffy in this drawing. They're like 1/3 behind Buffy, 2/3 next to Buffy. And I would love to know what's happening with the third I can't see.
Yeah, well, what I can tell you is that behind them, a volcano appears to be erupting violently.
Okay, the other thing that I want to talk about in Buffy's dreamscape visually, because there's a whole, clearly we're going to talk about Amy and Willow, but a few pages after the Spike and Angel and chains of it all, we get another, illustration that shows her dreamscape, and it's really cool. There's a panel where little Buffy is falling through a larger panel of her walking down the hallway at school. And then there's all these cubes that sort of have all of the various things that are part of her dreamscape. And so I definitely don't know what all of them are. But we definitely see that Faith is here, so I put a note.
Oh yeah, featured prominently in the old dream space.
Of course. Dawn is here. Clearly Angel is here. The vampire book is here. Graduation is here. The master is here. But Jenny, my favorite thing in this drawing is that up at the top, the Buffy and Angel Forever is here. The scratch that she put on her notebook when she was falling in love with Angel, Buffy and Angel Forever. It's here, guys.
Honk. Incredible.
When Willow absorbs Amy's power, she does it in bug form? Is that there's bugs?
You know, who can say this is very The Mummy?
Yeah. You always talk about bugs and people in reference to the X-Files, so I thought maybe it was X-Filey, but I don't know. Oh, speaking of X's, there's 3 X's that also see in our symbology department. We now have a new symbology to place as symbology of interest. We've got the sunset / upside down frown with a monocle. And we also now have 3 X's. Ethan is sort of like inside of 3 X's inside of her dreamscape, right?
Yeah, and are you so offended that Buffy says 3 X's? That either means Vin Diesel or porn, neither of which is real attractive.
Yeah, rude. So clearly
How
she needs some
dare.
notes on what is attractive. Meaning Vin Diesel, of course. I don't care about porn. As we all know. Okay, so Jenny, this sort of Renee Xander situation. I'm not gonna go like beat by beat of I think what bothered me here, but one of the things that bothers me a little bit, and I think that this is part of this, is just like not having read comics a lot. I just don't love the way that Renee is drawn as like a wounded fighter. It's very sexualized to me. And so I think that immediately put me on like a bad taste in my mouth kind of a vibe. Like she's like injured and bleeding, but like the way that she's drawn in the panels is like looking coyly over her like bloody shoulder and like the like dip of her waist. So I think that already set me off as like that doesn't feel good to me. And then there's this exchange that they have where, you know, Xander's being sarcastic as a means of comforting Renee because Renee feels bad about the zombies. And Xander's approach is to be like, that's stupid that you would ever think that. Here's all the reasons that you would be good. And she says, you're so butch. And he says, almost a kind of masculine vibe, don't you think? And that line, I think that was the line where I was really like, I feel gross about this. And I don't have the words to like truly express why, but there's just something about the like overt sexualization that seems to be happening to like Renee and the drawing of Renee, and then combined with like Xander being like, I'm so like not masculine, like I'm the opposite of masculine, but like in many ways, as we've known him for many years, like behaving in some of the most toxically masculine ways ever. And again, I can't separate it from a lot of other stuff. So that's, I think, without going into every beat that made me feel icky, like that's an example of one beat that made me feel icky.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I just, I feel like I'm not like won over by this iteration of Xander, but I also am not like finding it as off-putting as you are. I'm just sort of like, let's get through this.
Yeah. I mean, it's Xander, so it's not like surprising to me. I think probably what Nick Brendan brought to Xander, and like there's something like just about like a human embodiment of it, like talking.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. Did you know that your body starts accumulating senescent cells as early as your 20s? Also called zombie cells, these cells stop producing collagen and hyaluronic acid like they used to, and start secreting an inflammatory substance that makes neighboring cells dysfunctional too. There is an answer for these zombie cells though, and it comes from our friends at OneSkin. OneSkin was founded by an all-woman team of scientists, and is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular senescence, a key hallmark of aging, with their proprietary OS1 peptide. It's scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. And for a limited time, you can try OneSkin and get 15% off using our code BUFFERING when you check out at oneskin.co. I've been using OneSkin's OS1 face and eye topicals for months now, and I have seen undeniable results. My skin feels healthier and brighter. I'm a big fan of their products, and I'm happy to recommend them. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
On screen left more room for me to like see the nuances and sympathize with the character or what have you than I may be able to pick up from the page. I don't know that. Like we'll see as the comics go on and go forward. But I think that a lot of the lines that I'm reading off the page maybe default in a way that is not as great as they would if they were spoken out loud. A hunch. But I just don't love it. I'm not like, oh my God, this is so fucked up. I'm just like, I wanted more. Like, I think that I just want a little bit more for Xander. I don't believe as much his like role in the friend group and his like soft supportive side and the way that he like quietly has lifted the crew for 6 years. Like I don't feel it as much in these pages as I want to, because that's the part of Xander that I love. It seems like the two extremes of Xander that I don't love as much are like very much the back and forth in this issue, in this volume, I should say. But we'll see. Jenny, an exchange between Willow and Buffy happens that Xander walks in on, and Buffy is saying, I was covered in it, simply covered. And Xander is like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, it's a girl thing. What?
Yeah, what do you think she was covered in?
What? Like, I don't know. I really have no hunches, and I don't know what they could be talking about that they wouldn't want to share with Xander. So, email your thoughts to bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com.
Please, yes, let us know what you're thinking.
There's an Elphaba reference in this, which made me think, when did Wicked come out? Oh, God, it came out in 2003. That's so long ago.
Wow.
I know. And then really my only other specific note here is, oh no, a skinless Warren again?
Yeah.
How many times do we have to go around the Warren track? You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, this many times.
Warren looks like he's stepped directly outside of the Bodies exhibit, which I feel like was also probably around around the Wicked time, to the early aughts. The Bodies exhibit was a big deal. But yeah, his little teeth really creep me out, Jenny. I don't like his teeth.
Yeah, they're very pink, actually.
Yeah, and his nose is so teeny tiny. I don't like it. Anyway, issue 4. Yeah?
Indeed. Let me tell you what happens in issue 4. Warren's going to do a little torture. Actually, Warren's going to do a little lobotomy.
Right. Oh, that image of Willow's eyeball. Not good. Don't like it.
Thank you.
Take it back.
We find out that because Amy was following Willow, she started following Warren. And she had allegedly a 4-second window after his skin came off before he would die of shock alone. And then he says, her magic is my skin. So really hoping we don't find out more about that.
Yeah, I agree. Keep that. You can keep that, everybody.
Dawn is really stressed out that Willow has been snaked from them. And she's like telling Buffy, like, please, please, please bring her back. And then she says, she's like a mom to me, which must be great to hear for Buffy.
I don't know. I mean, again, like, I try to remember that Buffy still is young. Like, it's not like she's suddenly 50. But, like, I guess knowing that Dawn views Willow as, like, a mom figure seems like a given to me. You know, Tara and Willow were so protective of Dawn when she was so small. So I wished that Buffy had a little bit more space here in this moment to, like, understand. But I guess they've been fighting, so I'll let it slide.
So it seems like Willow is, like, being granted refuge by maybe some, like, earth goddesses. Like her mind, her consciousness is with them while Warren is doing his, or trying to do his lobotomy thing.
Oh, that's what this collection of little creatures are?
Yeah, that's how I read it anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I got confused and thought that they were the mystics. And I was like, this is an interesting choice for how we would draw the mystics. I very much appreciate your understanding for, like, for the drawings.
I could be wrong. Write in if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's determined that when they do get the portal reopened, that Buffy will only be able to take one person with her. So she picks Satsu.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow. You know what I mean?
Yep. And she borrows Satsu's lip gloss, which is
that.
Basically first base.
I hated it. I got mad about it. I'm sorry.
Why?
I think it just felt too on the nose to me. Like, there were some beats in this that just felt like, we know that Buffy is a girl power, and can kick ass. The, like, let's go kick some ass. Let me borrow your lip gloss. I don't know, Jenny. I just didn't like it at all.
You don't want your chapped lips distracting you from your warrioring.
Yeah, let me just look up something real quick here.
Okay. What are you looking up?
Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl.
Okay. It's cherry chapstick, if that's what you're wondering.
Oh, I know what kind of chapstick it is. But okay, this is actually remarkable. Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, it was released in 2008. So the cinnamon lip gloss actually does predate the cherry chapstick.
Aha! So that's what you thought it was on the note. You thought Katy Perry's cherry chapstick reference was inspiring this?
No, I think that, like, in my mind, the shorthand of, like, fucking lesbians sharing their cherry chapstick is just, I don't know how to unpack my brain for you listeners or for Jenny. I've been trying to do it for 10 years, but there was just something that was like cherry chapstick about it, which I actually do support in the Katy Perry space, because in 2008 it was hilarious. So perhaps I need to apply that same logic to this 2007 comic, you know? But in 2022, I'm just like, don't make these girls share lip gloss before they go through a portal to fight. I want a little more nuance. It's all I want is a little more nuance.
Okay.
You know, like like if fucking Buffy needed a hair tie and Satsu gave her a hair tie, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Just a little on the nose with the lip gloss. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So a good thing to do when you're reopening a portal that was used as a trap against you is before you do anything, just set up a really big mirror facing the portal opening so that if your enemies are waiting to blast you, you will just zip that blast right back. Now, here's a question.
That's what they did? That's really incredible.
Here's a question. If I was holding a mirror and someone shot like a laser at me, wouldn't the laser just like shatter the mirror instead of bouncing back?
Well, are they okay? So now that I understand that this is a mirror, what I'm wondering is it the army shooting something that is literal, or is it the magic guys shooting something that is magic?
You know, it maybe looks like a machine that might be magically powered or something.
Because then I buy that a mirror could, like, if it's magic, I buy that a mirror could bang it back. If it's if it's a laser, then I have to, ask the professionals, Jenny. The laser if we have any laser professionals that listen to the
laserologists listening.
Hey, by the way, did you catch somewhere in this journey there's a fucking call 1-800-CHOSEN-ONE joke, and I was like, ha ha, that's our joke. We always make call 1-800 fucking fill in the blank. Okay, so they use a mirror. Of course they do. To get through the portal. Great. And then they're fighting.
Yep. Buffy and Satsu just kicking loads of ass.
I fucking love Buffy and Satsu. Yes. Also, did we ever think we would see Amy's mom again? Did you? Did anyone?
Never. No.
They use an image of Amy's mom to break her concentration. Remarkable.
Yep.
Also,
incredible.
At some point, there's a doorway in this army place that has the 3 X's on it. 3 X's and then a 30. Well, a 30, which is 3 X's, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Hang tight, because before we get to that door...
Okay.
I didn't finish my little summary, but we're almost at the end of the issue, so we'll finish it together. Here's a cool feature. Buffy is talking about Willow. She says, I like to think in a way that she's a part of me. That even when she's gone, a part of her is with me. 'Cause it is! And then Buffy's eyes go black because she has a part of Willow's frigging magic in her. Then she has a magical fist and she's incredible hulking all over the place.
How did she get part of Willow in her? Is Willow doing that is Willow giving that to her? Or is that just part of Buffy
I think
now?
It seems like something that Willow has put in Buffy. And maybe there's upkeep. Maybe there's not.
Wow.
I don't know.
Very cool. So now Buffy is double mystical. She's a slayer and has Willow's magic inside of her.
Yep. Unfortunately,
Jenny, I have to just tell you, I didn't even realize that happened. I'm really, really learning that I need to spend more time decoding the panels and do a better job. I would like to take ownership.
Or you could just stay your wonderful self. And then I could explain to you what you've missed. And then you can go back and read the pages again with a renewed understanding.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I think that my brain, I'm sure it'll be different as we go deeper and deeper into the comics, but I think my brain doesn't quite understand that illustrations in comics are often lliteral, So I was just Buffy's fighting. Oh, she's just fighting in green now. I didn't. I didn't. Oh, her eyes are black, but it just must be that she's real mad. I did not put any of it together because I am a ding dong. So thanks.
I guess Buffy's got some kind of mystical body cam going on because Xander and crew can see everything that she's up to back at headquarters. And once they get the feed of Willow alive and well, Xander's like, hey, let's stop patting ourselves on the back until we have extraction. And also someone asked Dawn to stop jumping up and down because the whole frame, everything in the frame is shaking.
That was one of my favorite lines in the whole read, actually. It just got me. It was a very well-timed joke. And I could picture Dawn throwing a fucking excited... What's an excited tantrum? Whatever that is. We haven't really talked about this, but I feel like it at least bears mentioning that the scythe axe is alive and well. It's
in full effect.
In full effect. Buffy has gone through the portal with it. It's like Buffy, Satsu, a piece of willow, and the axe scythe have all arrived on the scene. And a grenade? Where did the grenade come from?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We come to the door that you mentioned before, Kristin. The deal is that if the government is ever involved, there's going to be a door with a number on it that will be the key to something.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's the number 30. And Buffy recalls from earlier in her dream space finding the 3 X's, Roman numerals for 30.
Roman numerals are like burned into my brain. Do children still learn Roman numerals? Because we really had to learn them.
Are you a child? Are you currently learning your Roman numerals? If so, first of all, stop listening to this podcast because it is not, contrary to my near constant protestations, a family show.
I like learning Roman numerals was so satisfying to me as a young person. Like figuring out, okay, if I is 1 and V is 5, then when in the counting do you go to the V? 1, 2, 3, all I's. 4? No. Now you go to you need the 5 and the 1 before it, and that's how you get your 4. And then when do you go to the X for 10? And when do you start putting shit in front of the X? You know what I mean? It's it's very satisfying. That's all.
You know what else is satisfying?
M.
Oh, God.
I want to try to do 2023. M, X, I. That's pretty easy, actually.
Mm-hmm. Great.
It was more when we were in the 1900s. Kill me. It was more when we were in the 1900s that it was fun because then you would get the C before the M, right? Yeah, like MCM was 19. Fucking MCM, 1998. Do 1998 in Roman numerals, Jenny.
MCM. Oh, what's 50? Is it D or L?
50 is fucking L. I forgot about 50.
So would it be...
I think it would be XC.
Right. Okay.
MCM.
Well, clearly, it's not as burned into our brains as we thought.
My guess is MCM XC VIII.
Okay. Sounds compelling to me.
I am so excited for this new segment where I decide to try to make a different number out of Roman numerals every episode.
No, that is not a segment.
I'm making it happen.
Listen, I've actually just had a realization.
Yes.
When Buffy breaks into room 30 and she finds the guy with the frowning monocle scar art, she tells her compatriots to heal the soldiers and see who else they've got in these cells. And this guy says no one worth much. The only one who could have helped you was Rain. Do you know what the inciting incident was for Ethan Rain to be imprisoned by a government cell? Well, it's when at the end of A New Man, Riley calls in the initiative after Ethan has done all of his dirty little hijinks.
Raining around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And the initiative takes him to a containment facility.
Huh.
So this guy is connected. This is my hypothesis. This guy is connected in some way to the initiative, even though the initiative was Control-Alt-Deleted a long time ago.
We salted the earth, goddammit.
Oh my gosh. I can't remember because it's been so long since I read these comics, but it's starting to feel like we're going to be seeing Riley Finn in the near future.
Oh, man.
Kristin, just be thankful that, actually, should you be thankful for this? Buffy could have been in her little nurse's uniform, chained up in between Riley, Spike, and Angel.
Honestly, I would take it. That I would like.
That would be good.
Yeah. Listen, all hunks all day. That's fine. I just don't know how I feel about reading any Riley arcs on the paper, but we'll find out. Ethan Rain appears to be dead, right? This panel really looks...
That's what I think is implied here.
Like a deceased Ethan Rain. Very cool use
this
of color.
Guy, this general or whatever, tells Buffy, she says the mark, and he says, Twilight is coming for you, for all your monstrous spawn. It all ends very soon. Okay, so this is the symbol of Twilight.
Edward? Bella?
Hold on, little spider monkey. He says that he says, you've upset the balance, girl. Do you really think we were going to sit by and let you create a master race?
Ooh. This is very X-Men to me. Like the idea, or at least the way that I understood it, which, 50% of the time is wrong, but we'll find out. But it's like the idea that because Buffy is mystical, like that the Slayer is like magical, it doesn't matter to like non-magical humans that she and all of the Slayers are put here to like help defend the world against demons. What matters to them is that they're magical and they're too powerful, so they have to be like extinguished, which to me is like that's how I understand X-Men. Like the plot of X-Men is like, we don't care what you use your powers for, they're powers, so you must die. Or be contained, one or the other.
Yep. And this man says, you're at war with the human race. And Buffy says, oh. Beat. Okay.
Good, very good. Those last panels really beautiful. The four faces of Buffy as she works from hearing the information to fuck off, actually.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so those are four parts of one whole, and then the chain is an issue that sort of stands alone. Jenny and I are wondering if there's a word for what you call, because like the chain does go with the four parts, it's like
right,
but it's not.
But it's kind of a one-off.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're a big comic nerd, a bigger comic nerd than Jenny, and like names for what it's called when these little one guys come. I'm doing good. Let us know. I understood. Can I read you, instead of you telling me what happened first, can I just read you my notes?
Oh, yeah. Kristin, tell me everything you know about the chain.
The chain, my notes are, I have no idea what's happening. It's a story about what it's like to find your power interconnected. The one picked to be Buffy underground, fairies, so the underground Buffy died. I think Joss needs to calm down. I don't know what happened.
Okay. So we're getting a little bit of a window into the larger scope of, let's call it Slayers Inc.
Great.
Right. We know that we've learned in the previous issues that there are two sort of like decoy Buffys to like dilute the bullseye on Buffy's back.
It's too bad that the Buffy bot was destroyed.
Yeah, and it's too bad that the person who understands the technology that created the Buffy bot is a mortal enemy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what all is going on here? We're meeting this gal. Do we ever learn her name? I don't think we...
Well, that's okay, so I learned far in that the Buffy from the beginning is underground Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
And underground, we have things like fairies. But what I'm confused about is the schoolgirls and the boy and how they fit into the underground.
Okay, so the girl with the black hair at the picnic table is the girl who becomes underground Buffy.
Okay, cool. By the end, I was like, I think maybe this is what the vibe is, but I wasn't sure.
It's kind of like non-chronological, so maybe we could look at it chronologically, actually.
Okay.
This girl is at detention, we think, or she's just at lunch, but They have detention. They're talking about
But
detention.
she does have short, choppy black hair, so we would assume first that she was in detention. Yeah.
Yeah. We see her get sort of tossed backwards from the picnic table in a way that's later revealed to be her Slayer powers coming into existence.
Got it.
Manifesting, right?
So not the boy punching
we
her.
see this.
Got it.
We see this incredible commercial that Andrew and Vi apparently shot together.
Oh, that's my
In
favorite
which-
part of this issue.
Oh, I broke another one. Andrew, with his back on his pipe bullshit. Something wrong, honey? I can't control my strength and I'm having dreams that are strange and disturb me. Dreams of being another girl in another time? That's amazing. How did you know? This pamphlet came in the mails. It explains how many modern women and girls are suffering from this unnamed condition. There's a support group? That's right. Just dial 1-800-CHOSEN-1 to meet girls who have this alarming yet fun condition.
Alarming yet fun condition. Also, I
So
love that
we're-
you had me here the whole time, but that your choice was to do both voices. It really worked.
That's right. So this is giving us a window right into how they're amassing their squads of all of these women flung across the globe who are getting their powers. And we see her sort of intake appointment. This is a cult, right? And then bonding with other people who are having the same experience as her, training with those people, listening to guest speaker Rupert Giles
He's
when he comes to
standing at a
visit.
podium.
That's right.
Looking hot.
We see her and some other new slayers in their first sort of like vampire fight. She gets bitten in the neck but survives. And one of her comrades says, "Hey, I hear Buffy's got a neck wound too." Then we see her in consultation with a woman who's saying like, okay, you'd need a serious dye job and you'd need to maintain it yourself. Your body type is good. Your height is good. We want to send you deep, deep, deep underground. It's incredibly dangerous. And then we see her post-Buffy transformation, repelling into a yawning maw.
Definitely.
Passing a slug test. Ooh, telling the slugs and the fairies, who are clearly at odds with each other, okay, if you want to be safe, you're going to have to work together because Yaman of Hot is coming. And he's going to fuck you guys up. Oh, forgive me for this break in chronology. It's the next to last thing that we see in the issue. Right after she sort of gets her Slayer powers at the picnic table, a Mack truck comes careening wildly out of control into the picnic table area. She kicks two girls at the picnic table away from danger's path and then throws Mike also out of harm's way. And then she herself absorbs the strike of a Mack truck. And she's like, waza.
Got it. Okay. It all makes so much more sense now. You know, the thing that honestly threw me the most is one of the very first panels. Mike is this guy's name? Mm-hmm. That's what threw me because I didn't understand it. It's the thing I think without that I might have grasped the chronology a little bit better. But him being inserted into the sort of like underground battle in the beginning was what I was confused about. I was like, is he somehow related to the underground? But now it all makes sense. This all makes total sense. And it makes me like the issue a lot more than I did because I did not understand what was happening.
Yeah. And so then just to put the last bookend on here, Buffy, underground Buffy, engages in battle with Yaman Hut and is killed. And just after she's killed, reinforcements come dropping down. Slayers, fairies, but too late for poor underground Buffy. R.I.P.
R.I.P. I love the slugs.
The slugs are fun.
The slugs, I just love the design of the slugs. I think they're very fun and cool. I also, something that we haven't talked about in sort of like a macro way is, well, I guess you hit one piece of it, which is that Ethan Rayne could be anyone because we're reading it, not watching it. But also, like, I think what fun to get to tell stories without the budgetary restraints.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, like, you probably wouldn't have been able to make Dawn a giant, and, you know, these slugs would not have looked, we know these slugs would not have looked this cool on the screen in 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. I love the slugs. I love the fairies. I definitely, the panel where fake Buffy is wrapped in the slug looks exactly like Britney Spears at the VMAs to me. That's what I saw there. And also, I think Giles looks incredibly hot at the podium. These are my notes. He's wearing, because folks, he's not wearing like a button up underneath that blazer. He's wearing just like a t-shirt underneath the blazer. And he looks great.
He does indeed. No wardrobe budgets constraining things either.
Yeah. It's really cool that the bite to the neck is what put her in the running to be Buffy. That is something I did not pick up on, and is very, very fun for me.
And I want to read, I think this is like a really nice piece of writing at the end of the issue. As we're seeing we're finally seeing the battle between Underground Buffy and Yamat-Hot. She's talking about, carrying the name Buffy, right? She says, but there's millions of people go into making a name. People facing things they couldn't imagine they would. In the moments that matter, even our own names are just sounds people make to tell us apart. What we are isn't that. The real questions run deeper. Can I fight? Did I help? Did I do for my sisters, my comrades, children, slimy slug clan? There is a chain between each and every one of us, and like the man said, you either feel its tug or you ignore it. I tried to feel it. I tried to face the darkness like a woman, and I don't need any more than that. You don't have to remember me. You don't even know who I am. But I do.
Mm-hmm.
A spicy meatball.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah. There's like a lot in there. The sentiment also of you either feel its tug or you ignore it, you know, I think is like a beautiful other piece of what is beautiful about the name and all of that. It's just like the idea that the thing that connects all of us is there for all of us. And it's just a matter of if you ignore it or not. Very, 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 very nice. Very, very nice.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Well, here we
like,
are.
Sorry, I was just rereading it because I was thinking about like the value of a name because you know there are so many other stories told about like the power in a name, like naming something. I mean, even like of course, like the first thing that came to my mind is the Neverending Story, right? Where like he has to say her name, like, and what this bit is saying is in the moment, because I do think like there is power and value in naming in a name, and it's like to share the story, to share the history, to like whatever. But this is like she is talking about in the moment. It is not the name. In the moment, it is all these other things as well. So I was just taking a moment to sort of pick through it for myself. Anyway. We did it. Well, we did something. I don't know if it was it, but we certainly did something, Jenny.
We did it! We talked about the first 5 issues of the Buffy Season 8 comics.
We started with 3 Buffys, and we're down to 2.
That's right.
We've got Rome Buffy and Scotland Buffy out and about. We've got this symbology of the upside down frown monocle guy that is the symbol of Twilight, right?
We sure do.
And we've got we don't know what's behind the door yet. Is that true? The 3X door, the 30 door?
In room 30, there was a dead Ethan Rain.
Right.
And a general with his little monocle frown scar art.
Right. Okay. And then I am least invested in the relationship between Amy and Warren. And I am most invested in who's in love with Buffy. And I am medium invested in Giant Dawn.
Great. You're not interested in how Kennedy died for one mystical month?
Right. We didn't talk about that. There's the exchange between Buffy and Willow. I was so caught up in what she was covered in that they couldn't talk to Xander about that I forgot the part about Kennedy. Kennedy died, but only for a month. It was a mystical death, and now they're like sort of taking some time apart.
Yeah, as you do.
I don't know. I have to be honest with you. I'm not super invested yet. I loved Kennedy, but like, I don't feel like, wow, can't wait to find out what happened. That's not something that I feel compelled by at this stage.
Cool. Kristen.
Yes.
Since you've never read these comics.
Yes.
Why don't you just go ahead, throw a few darts at the board? What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think's in love with Buffy? What do you think is going to happen with Dawn being a giant? And what do you think is going to happen with Amy and Warren?
Okay. I think that Dawn will only be a giant for one more. Like, I think in the next volume, Dawn will be de-giantized because Buffy and Dawn will have a heart-to-heart, and they will talk about their feelings, and we will probably, unfortunately, meet Kenny, the Thricewise, or another Thricewise, because I know we will eventually find out what a Thricewise looks like, and Dawn will be regular-sized again. And Buffy and Dawn will get along again. That has to happen sort of soon, I would hope, because I don't want them to not be getting along. I like when they get along.
Yeah.
I really do not know who is in love with Buffy in this room, because I cannot imagine a reality where it would be Xander or Willow, because that doesn't feel good or fair. That feels like a rewriting of the show that we watched. And who else is in the room? There's a bunch of Slayers in the room, right? Do we know other people in this room apart from Willow and Xander and then the Slayers that we've met along the way?
I don't know.
Like Satsu is in the room. Okay, so if it's Willow, I'm looking at the panel, and what I see is Willow, I see Xander, and then I see a bunch of Slayers. I don't think I recognize any of the Slayers in this panel, but I think that's Satsu is in Scotland, right?
Yes.
I'm going to guess Satsu, okay? Because, listen, who else could it be? Who else could it possibly be? Nobody else is here except for maybe Amy. Do you think? But I don't think Amy was in the room then.
Imagine if Amy was in love with Buffy.
Yes, I can, actually.
Okay.
I'm going Satsu, Jenny, for my guess there.
Okay.
I do want to say that now that I'm looking back through the panels again, wondering who might be in love with Buffy, there is a very prominent placement for this Slayer who I don't think we know, who's just always wearing a backwards baseball hat.
Yep.
So I'm going to actually change my guess to Jo. That's what I'm naming her. Jo the Slayer.
Okay.
I think maybe it's her. Okay.
And then what do you think is going to happen with Amy and Warren? Do you think we'll ever see them again?
Yeah, unfortunately, we will see Amy and Warren again. And I what I'm hoping is that in order to survive and keep her power Amy is left with only one choice, and it is that she has to destroy her one true love, Warren. So that Warren gets destroyed by both Willow and Amy, and we never have to see him in his skin or out of his skin ever again.
Lord, let it be so.
I want to say at the end of this episode that this is the first time that we've talked through comics like this. So if you have any thoughts or questions or comments or feedback, we sure are here for it, because we want to make this journey as fun for you as it is for us.
Indeed. What Kristin said. Well, I guess that's the first 5 issues of Buffy season 8 in comic book form discussed by us, isn't it?
It is. And I'm so excited. I'm really proud of us. I'm really proud of myself for understanding at least 12% of what happened.
Incredible. Well, I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I'm Kristin Russo.
And till next time.
That was us flipping the pages of our comic books.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
With your long-forgotten name, we call upon you. We call upon you. In the words of the unspeakable language, we call upon you. We call upon you. By the spilt blood of the wicked, who walk upon this world, sprouting the words of false idols, we call upon you. We call upon you. On the land of the dead harvest, that which brings the earth itself into your service, Yamal, we call upon you. We call upon you. We call upon you. We call upon you. Yamal calls upon you.
The Sprouting, a Call of Cthulhu actual play podcast by Blighthouse Studio. Find us on your podcatcher of choice.